What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy, Dr. Killjoy, coming at you again. And I know I said we were going to be back with some more Life is Strange today, but I had a lot of fun with the tier list yesterday. You guys seem to enjoy it, so we're going to do another one today. Life is Strange will be coming back, though, no worries. So, today, we're going to be hopping on. We're going to be sorting all the NFL teams from top team to horrible. And I'll kind of explain the categories as I go. We're hopping straight on into it, though. Starting off with the Tennessee Titans. Let's see here. You got Ryan Tannehill, Derrick Henry, best running back in the NFL. Quote me. I would put them on solid or average. We'll put them in solid for now. I might bump them down to average though after I get it all more laid out. Uh, I don't think they're quite Super Bowl contenders yet, but that's a consistent playoff team right there. They need to get a better defense though. Moving on. We have the Miami Dolphins. I'm going to put them in average. Prior to this season, they definitely would have been in rebuild time, but they're showing improvement very quick. Kind of upset they didn't make the playoffs this year, but hey, it is what it is. Moving on. Cleveland Browns. You got to put them in a solid team as well. The turnaround that they have done, if you think about it, imagine our next team, the Jaguars. Imagine they make it that far in the playoffs and are competing that well in the next 3 to 4 years, because that's what the Browns just did. They went from the bottom all the way up to the top fast. So I'm high on the Browns. I'll put them in solid team. Jaguars, we're going to put them in horrible. I almost want to put them in rebuild time just because it looks like they are starting to put pieces together, but I still got to put them in horrible. I do like the coach hiring. If they don't draft Trevor Lawrence, then yikes. But moving on, Detroit Lions has been announced that they are ready to move on from Matt Stafford, so they have a lot of free agent receivers. We got to put them in horrible. I don't see them doing anything significant in the next at least 5 seasons, if not more. So Minnesota Vikings, low key, I feel like they just had such a slow start to this season that I feel like it makes them seem worse than they are. I'll put them in average because I don't think they need a rebuild. Justin Jefferson popped off this year. Kirk Cousins had a sneaky good year. He threw for like 35 touchdowns, I think. So he didn't have a bad season. Moving on to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And just to be clear, I am recording this during the NFC Championship. I don't know who's won that game yet. By the time this is uploaded, that game will probably be over. So, without knowing that knowledge, you almost have to put them in top team just because they could be contending for the Super Bowl. But due to the fact that just simply because of Tom Brady's age, I'm going to keep them in solid team for now. And I almost want to put them even lower. But because they still do have Tom Brady, and he had a great year this year, there's no denying that, we're going to keep him in solid team. But when he's gone, I don't know how good that team is without him, just being 100% honest. San Francisco 49ers. Now, they got hit with injuries hard this year. That's one thing to keep in mind. But I think that they do need a new quarterback to really get back to that Super Bowl form. We're going to throw them in average, I think, for now. Yeah, I'm okay with that. A very good defense just got banged up really hard this year. Nothing you can really do about that. Very easy one for this next one. Atlanta Falcons, rebuild time. I don't think they're quite in that horrible category, but they need to move on from Matt Ryan and just restart. They're a few years from anything significant, but I don't think they're horrible. I think they could move down there very easily, but I don't think they're quite horrible. Baltimore Ravens. They're a solid team for sure. Lamar Jackson, he's talented. He just needs to show that he can do more in playoffs, basically. I think they need to add a few just more playmakers because I feel like they have a solid team as they're in the solid team category, but I think they need more big playmakers. Hollywood Brown, get him the ball more. Chicago Bears, the flukiest team out of all of these. I'll put them in average, though. I don't think they need a full rebuild. They do have a lot of strong pieces on the team. They just need to figure out what they're doing at quarterback. If you want Mitch, stick with Mitch. I don't know. Unless you can get a good free agent quarterback or a Matt Stafford or something, then I would probably just try to use Mitch for now. But Yeah, Bears are very easily could move down a couple tiers in the near future. The Cincinnati Bengals, I'm also going to be putting at average. They were a strong team this year until Joe Burrow went out. So as long as they can get him some offensive line help, then that team could move up. Being 100% honest, I think their division is winnable. I think the Browns are all the teams in that division are strong, which I feel like is going to make it more competitive. They could sneak through into a wild card next year if they stay healthy. And they have a good draft pick this year. So hope if they can get Penny Sewell, the Oregon tackle, that would be great for them. Dallas Cowboys. That whole division sucked this year, but Dak was out. Even with Dak in, they weren't really winning. He was playing well, but we got to put them in average, though. I don't think they're in need of a full rebuild. They definitely need a lot of pieces. I think average is the perfect spot for them because they're definitely far from solid, but I think they're also far from a rebuild. They're right there in that perfect middle category. The Colts, here's what worries me about the Colts. Great defense. I like Darius Leonard a lot. And then on offense, you got Quentin Nelson and Jonathan Taylor. Very strong pieces. Who's going to play quarterback for them? Phillip Rivers is gone. So if they can figure that out, I could see them moving to a top team. I'm going to put them in solid, though, just because I have so much faith in all the pieces that they just need a quarterback. That's all they need, and they could become a top team for sure. Moving on, I almost said St. Louis Rams. It's been a few years since that. They have such a great coach and some strong pieces. Aaron Donald, so good, but they're not rebuild. I don't know that Jared Goff is the answer for that team. Like Jared Goff, I could honestly see going to like a 49ers or a Bears and succeeding more than he is on the Rams. I don't know. I feel like they would succeed more with a different quarterback, but Chargers. I can't put them in average. I'm going to put them in rebuild time still for now. Justin Herbert was a huge pickup for them. I don't think they've hit that next level yet, so we're going to put them in rebuild for now, but I think they're 1 or 2 seasons away from going up a tier or two. So I think they're pushing the boundary for moving up. This one, easiest answer on here. They're going to win the Super Bowl again this year. Quote me. Kansas City Chiefs, top team. New Orleans Saints. This one is tough. I feel like they're a solid team. I can't put them as a top team because who's playing quarterback? They need to start Jameis Winston. I think that he should have played more this year. I think he should have started over Taysom Hill for sure. But with Drew Brees out, that kind of affects just the whole mindset of the team, I feel like. That's a big loss, but we'll see what they do in the offseason, and that honestly could affect where I would put them on this tier, but we'll put them in solid for now. Outstanding defense. Another one of the best running backs in the league. I would probably take Derrick Henry over Kamara. That's my personal opinion, but Kamara is very good. They got Michael Thomas. They're a strong team, just who's their quarterback? Kind of similar situation with the Colts, I feel like. But I would honestly put Saints above the Colts, just to throw that out there. You have the New York Giants. That's rebuild time for sure. I don't know that they're going to stick with Daniel Jones. Forgot his name for a minute. I don't know that they're going to stick with him. That they have a lot of figuring out to do, I think. Saquon needs to stay healthy and stop ruining my fantasy team, but that's just some personal beef between me and him. Philadelphia Eagles. I'll leave them in rebuild time for now. I could see them going down to horrible this year. As soon as this year. They need to rebuild that relationship with Carson Wentz. Or just stick with Jalen Hurts. They need to figure that out and then build around them. Because they don't have a lot of pieces on that offense to even help whoever's playing quarterback out. So I think they need a strong offseason to not move down to horrible. Pittsburgh Steelers, worst 11-0 team of all time. I feel like I have to put them in average. Because looking at the teams I have in average, for example, the Dolphins or Steelers, I'm picking Dolphins, personally. Especially with Big Ben towards the end of his career. They had a good year this year for the first 11 games. I just don't, I never really thought they were a great team this year. I would take every single team in the solid teams over them 100%. So they're going to be an average. Green Bay Packers, this one's hard because I'm the biggest Green Bay Packers hater that there is. But I feel like you have to put them in top teams for now. It hurts me. Aaron Rodgers is probably the MVP of the NFL this year. It hurts me, but you got to do it. Carolina Panthers, we'll put them in rebuild time. I don't think they're quite. I think they're on this line, honestly, because they paid Teddy Bridgewater a lot of money to have a super mediocre season. I mean, they didn't pay him too much, but Christian he's their only strong offensive piece. They got good receivers. They got some figuring out to do. They belong in rebuild time. Houston Texans, very easy. They're horrible. They're gonna lose Deshaun Watson. They lost DeAndre Hopkins. At least they got rid of Bill O'Brien. That was a first step, but they're horrible. Now, this one's tough because I am a Denver Broncos fan, so I want to put them probably above where they deserve to be. But trying to be unbiased, I got to put them in rebuild time. I would want to put them in average because I think this team has so much potential, but that's just me speaking as a fan. I think we're still in rebuild time. Got to figure out the quarterback position, first of all, if we're going to stick with Drew Lock or if we're going to move on to someone else. Drew Lock or Deshaun Watson. Either of those two. Matt Stafford, I have a feeling, is going to end up there, but we'll see what happens. See how the offseason goes. Did just sign a new general manager, John Elway, taking a step back. We'll see how it goes. The Las Vegas Raiders. I almost want to put them in rebuild time, but I'll explain that. But I will put them in average because they are the definition of average. They are going to go 7-9, 8-8 every year with their current lineup. Josh Jacobs, great running back. I really like him personally. Derek Carr, good quarterback. Nothing crazy, but he's good. I just feel like 7-9, 8-8 defines that team for the last few years. That's exactly where they deserve to be, is average, because that's what they are. Washington football team. I also want to put them in average. I think they're definitely above these teams. They have a great defense. Chase Young, I hope he develops into a star in this league more than he already has. He had a good rookie year. They need to figure out a quarterback. Antonio Gibson, great running back. Terry McLaurin, good receiver for them. They have a lot of pieces to turn into a solid team. They just need to figure out their quarterback play. Arizona Cardinals. This one's tough because Kyler Murray, they started this year really strong. Then I believe Kyler Murray got hurt, and when he stopped using his legs as much, that's when they started to lose. So I can't put them as a solid team, so we're going to leave them as an average team with potential to move up to a solid team. For sure. They have a lot of potential on that squad. I would be looking for them to move up a tier or two in the next few years. Buffalo Bills, I think you got to put them as a top team. They're in the AFC Championship, which I guess you could argue, why haven't I put the Buccaneers up there? But I explained, Tom Brady old. Top team Buffalo Bills, that duo between Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs is insane. They have so much chemistry together and they work really well. Again, very strong defense. They deserve to be up here. If they can find a sneaky good running back, I think that would be what could push them over the edge with another year of development. I think the Chiefs are probably going to take the championship over them, but I think they could be in the bowl next year if they play their cards right. The Seattle Seahawks. I'm going to put them as a solid team. Part of me wants to put them in average, to be honest, though, because if you look at their playoff record the last few years, they haven't done much. If you're looking playoffs, when that's kind of what it takes to be a solid team. That one, they're borderline right here, to be honest. I think they have some... they're obviously not rebuild time, but they have some rebuilding to do to try to win another bowl with Wilson before he rides off into the sunset. They got a few more pieces to surround him with to bring them back up to a top team. New York Jets, you got to put them in horrible. They're definitely also rebuilding, but they're in that tier below where they're still horrible. I mean, what can you say? I honestly am surprised they won games this year. They're not good. They lost the first pick, so they're not getting Lawrence. Hopefully they draft Justin Fields, or if they can pick up Deshaun Watson, then they could maybe draft Penny Sewell out of Oregon, or maybe a wide receiver or something, but they don't even have that many key players on the roster, so they have a lot of rebuilding to do. Then the last one, New England Patriots. You got to put them in rebuild time. I don't know that Cam Newton is the answer for them. They have a lot of key pieces as well, but they have a lot of figuring out to do to find an identity post Tom Brady era. So, it's going to do it for the tier maker. Is there anyone I want to move around? Let's take a quick look. I'm happy with those three in the top teams. Solid teams. They all belong there. Average. That one, I feel like there almost needs to be an average and then another one between rebuild time for some of these teams, such as Cowboys, Bears. Some of these teams I think are right on this line, but if we're sticking to these tiers, I think they all belong in average. Rebuild time. Yeah, for sure. Some of these I feel like are also on this line. They're just more in the rebuild, such as the Chargers, Broncos. That's biased. I understand. Horrible. 100% all those teams belong down there. So we're going to keep this list exactly as is. It's going to do it for my tiers. Let me know if you guys agree, disagree, whatever, down in the comments below. It's going to do it for today. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.